Hello, good evening out there to everybody. We've been on air for a while, but this is our new link, the post-game show link, where the Phillies just got a double play there to get out of the top of the ninth, and now they're entering the bottom of the ninth, down 3-1. Only run this game coming on a Bryson Stott solo shot. Haven't been able to get anybody else home yet. Overall, just kind of a weird vibes night down there. Really sloppy defense, some awful umpiring in the beginning, not coming through, just a sloppy game. We think poor body language this game. Just kind of a weird evening down at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, unfortunately, the biggest concern for me out of everything is not the score. It's not the umps. It's the actual, like you said, the body language of the Phillies. And I know during our watch long, shout out to everybody who joined us during our watch long as we were hanging out in your living rooms with you, or cars, or man caves, woman caves, wherever you're watching from. Something just feels really off about the Phillies. And I know we had spoken our pregame show and in our emergency pod earlier today, since we've had plenty of chances to talk all day about the Phillies, about thinking that a trade for Austin Hayes, the trade deadline, should hopefully spark the Phillies. Yet here we are in the ninth, and it feels like this is the most flat when I look at the season as a whole that I've seen. And there's been some ugly losses from the Phillies this season, but this one feels really off and really just uncharacteristic, from the defense to the lack of emotion, even on Bryson Stott's beautiful home run. Like, I don't have all the camera footage, so I can't see, obviously, from here in the studio, everything that's the dugout did and how the guys celebrated. But even that, like, that should be a pick-me-up moment. You finally get on the scoreboard. It's a close game. Just feels like they've been very much going through the motions.
Yeah, and now you get one of the best bullpen arms in the game in Emmanuel Clase, who takes the mound here. Brandon Marsh leading it off. We'll get into the Brandon Marsh, Austin Hayes situation after the game. John Foley is going to join us from Citizens Bank Park once Rob Thompson speaks to the media. Curious what Rob has to say. I wonder how much he wanted to talk to Brandon and Johan before the game, before speaking to the media, to kind of break it to him that, yeah, at least for the foreseeable future, you guys are going to be a platoon in center field. So Brandon Marsh grounds out to second base. Emmanuel Clase with one down here. Does not feel like the Phillies' evening, unfortunately.
No.
We talked about this guy a lot in the offseason.
We did, and now we get to see him. Rocking the pink hair in there.
Looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it works. I need to see it down and, like, with an outfit.
I just need to – who scores runs off this guy? Like, he's got a .7 ERA. Who's that team? How does
Not the Phillies.
And he has 3 blown saves. Castellanos grounds out to the best third baseman in baseball.
Okay.
So obviously,
this is about to be game.
We know Clase throws super hard, but the cutter has just been so good for him. 96, 97 cutter. Obviously, he gets just a ton of chase. He doesn't walk guys. He strikes a ton of guys out. Like, his stuff is filthy. We know that.
Yeah.
But, like, to me, the cutter has gotten better and better and better as a primary pitch. Like, he doesn't even throw the four seam anymore. Like, it's just he is a dominant pitcher who basically comes at you the way that Mariano Rivera did. He throws 81% cutters.
Jeez.
It's disgusting.
I'm trying to think. A lot of bullpen guys are having good years. Is he the best?
Off the top of my head, I would probably say yes. Obviously, strikeout rate's down a little bit. He's struck out 40 over 47, which is a little bit lower than it was a couple of years ago. But he's at a point.
This game is over.
He's at a .6 whip. and
Wow.
a .76 ERA.
That's filthy.
He has given up.
I didn't realize it was that good.
He's so good.
He's unbelievable.
Wow. And he might be the best contract in baseball. As we're about to anticipating a Phillies loss here. Let me just look that up
the fourth
again.
series in a row that the Phillies have lost the first game. Not a good stat. That's
Don't
something
like
that's
that
been a
one.
positive from this team is that they jump out on opponents, score runs early, score runs first, and then win the first game of each series, allowing you.
Start with a 3-hit evening.
Wait a
All
minute,
right.
Bryson.
A little 3-hit night for Bryson. Yeah, Emmanuel Clase, best contract in baseball.
He's given up 25 hits this year. You make that number 26.
Emmanuel Clase for the Guardians this year, $2.9 million. Next year for the Guardians, $4.9 million.
It's a steal.
$6.4 million the year after that. And then get this, Tyler, if he keeps it going, they have club options in 27 and 28 for $10 million per.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable contract. They would be almost foolish to not. I mean, unless something happens.
Unless he falls off
I know
the
it's
cliff.
a couple years from now, but like you're going to get an elite closer for 4 years for a grand total of what, $28 million?
That's
insanity in this market.
Nuts. It was a 5-year, $20 million contract with the two options.
Unreal.
Wow. Averages $4 million a year. They had him for $2 million last year.
Insane.
That must be cool.
So $2 million to bank.
And that's the game.
He banked 44
Boo.
saves.
44 saves for $2 million.
So what's the math on that?
Yeah, please check out that math real quick. Oh, man. That's
filthy. And that's who you're facing to close the game, already
It's
down
already
2
over.
runs.
Yeah, that was
like
quick.
it was over before it even started.
So
and Ben Lively gets the player of the game. What kind of special hell is this?
Last year, Emmanuel Clase made now granted, again, this is relative because it's a lot of money to us everyday people, but he made $45,000 per save.
Jeez.
Wow. That's it.
Wow.
For one of the maybe the elite premier closer in the game, $45,000.
Well, really not anything positive to say about tonight, except I think Christopher Sanchez looked pretty good. Bryson Stott, 3-hit game. Those are my positives.
The end. Have a nice day.
Am I missing anything?
Nope. Emmanuel Clase is really good.
That's not
We
a
got to see
positive for
him.
us. No, that's positive for the CLVD
oops.
show. Yes.
Oh, I feel
What
like
would
it would
they
be
be?
CL. You got to have
CLEV.
CL.
EV.
No, there's no E. Probably
No vowels.
CLVD.
Huh?
CLVD.
vowels.
There's no vowels.
Oh, that's the
Probably
thing.
like CLV because you got to have a V in there.
CLVD.
CLVD
CLVD.
or CVLD.
CVLD. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
It doesn't exist. Maybe one day it will, and they can talk about Emmanuel Clase glowingly.
Oh, oops! Positive for the Phillies.
That was it.
Tomorrow's a new day. The sun will
That's
come out
fun.
tomorrow.
That's fun.
And there's still a lot of baseball left to be played this weekend. And
You can still win the series. It is
of
possible.
all the series that they've lost, actually, I mean, I'd have to look back, but the majority of this series in general has been them winning game 1. I wonder what the
That
stats
was
have been when
their
they
MO
lose.
for a while.
Yeah, I wonder what the stat is for when they lose game 1. But it unfortunately is the 4th straight series where the Phillies drop game 1, another ugly game 1, which, as we know, the first game sets the tone for the series. It gives you some, good vibes going into the rest of the weekend. You now know you only have to win 1 more. Obviously, winning the first one, you could be thinking, oh, we can sweep, but more importantly, we just need to win 1 more game to win this series versus now you have to win the next 2. And the also unfortunate part about this is the fact that the Phillies are coming off of 3 straight series losses to the Oakland A's, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then the Minnesota Twins, and the vibes are very low. And today felt like, hitting rock bottom a little bit. It just seemed very off and not a good day. So, yeah, positives. Oh, yeah, I forgot. That's what I'm supposed to be talking about. Positives. Bryson Stott, Christopher Sanchez, and we got to see Austin Hayes in a Phillies uniform. Bam.
I didn't even see him. Did they show him?
Just on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's here. He's in uniform. He's in the dugout.
And that's going to be a lot of Rob Thompson post game. discussion points. We'll talk to John as soon as he joins us after Rob's press conference. It is cool. That does help a little bit with tonight's loss, knowing that something different is on the horizon.
Yeah.
Weston Wilson got the pinch at bat tonight, the pinch hit tonight. Not Austin Hayes, who did report in time, but Rob Thompson decided to not use him this evening. And I would fully expect tomorrow, starting in left field. And maybe we'll have to, I guess the lineup doesn't change much because Marsh and Stott flipped. So he'll probably, maybe they move Castellanos up 1 for Hayes and put him in the 7. But he's either going to be in the 6 or the 7 hole.
Probably. I would anticipate him being a little bit lower.
So that'll be cool. I mean, that's something tomorrow.
Yeah.
Woo!
This is so fun. We have so much to talk about. I just don't even know when you look at this team and how the game went. How did we get here? I don't know. I think the biggest thing was we've had so many games now we've been seeing the offensive struggles. And then today was non-existent offense outside of Bryson Stott. Of all people who we've been talking about as Bryson Stott's been struggling and needs to be better. And we were even saying, do the Phillies need to platoon second baseman with Bryson Stott and Mundo Sosa? Well, Bryson Stott today is the only reason you had that one run and was the only one that was able to hit the ball. And now it's the defense also. Bryce Harper with some really sloppy plays. Trey Turner, who is known for his sloppy defensive plays, but also had his, there was miscues. There was some
Bryce
weird.
Bryce had an off night.
Bryce definitely had an off night. Everybody had an off night.
Everybody had an off night.
And this team, though, has been winning games because of the fact that they've been picking each other up. When one person has an off night, somebody else steps up. And lately, nobody is really stepping up. Tonight, we did see Bryson Stott try. But we've been seeing this season, for the most part, it's been by committee that this team's been winning games. Lately, that committee is failing each other. The body language, not being able to make I think it's like the snowball effect. You don't make the first play, you miss on that pass, you miss on that catch, which then leads to another error or another mistake. You miss on that, and you're swinging at the first pitch, and now it's snowballing into more mistakes and more just awful at bats. This team right now, as much as we talk about how contagious the high energy is, right now it feels like so is the low energy.
Yeah. And the optimist in me keeps telling myself that this is just a downturn in the season, and a lot of teams are experiencing losing streaks and this and that. And I do believe this is temporary still, but it's at the point now where a little bit of it's starting to creep into my mind, like, okay, are they more of a slightly above 500 team than this world beater best in baseball? I still think they're one of the best, 2 or 3 teams in baseball. And it's going to take a couple more weeks of this, probably 2 more weeks, where if they don't snap out of it, the bad thoughts will creep in. But right now, I'm still pretty positive about the direction of this team. And the team's going to get better before Tuesday.
I'm trying so hard to be positive. I've been trying to spin zone everything. And I'm running out of positive things to say.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to lie. I've been trying to put on my positive Patty hat for the longest to look bigger picture. I will still say, and this is the last thing I've got is, at least it's happening now and not September. But it's been too long of this. This rut has been continuing for far too long.
We just got a tweet from somebody. 4 for 4 Philly fan. And he's not alone. I've seen a lot of negativity about this team in regards to our post-game show. Pass. This team stinks. I'll check back in next Sunday after the Mariners sweep us in Seattle and the lead is only 3 or 4 games.
You can still watch us. It's not our fault. We still have a job to do.
I was more focused on the lead is only going to be 3 or 4 games thing than not watching us.
Yeah.
But that's how... a good chunk of the fan base feels right now. They're down bad. And since they're down bad, I would tell them, you did it right after our watch along. You were like, I need a snack. I need something sweet.
I did.
A little treat, a little pick me up. And you can get that at Rite Aid with their ELO Market. This line from ELO Market includes candy, snacks, and pantry items exclusively at Rite Aid. Candy. I'm sitting next to a candy-holic. I myself have quite the sweet tooth. I'm a big gummy fan. And Rite Aid was nice enough to send us a big box of goodies from the ELO Market, and delicious. They have nuts and trail mixes if you want to be a little healthier, packed with vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, fibers, and proteins. beef jerky, which is a must for the Lynch household on our road trips, granola, pantry staples like honey and seasoning. You can even grab like aluminum foil, whatever. It has way more than you would ever expect. Having a snack attack? Get Elo Market delivered same day or buy online. Pick up in store. Go to riteaid.com/shop to order. I could go for a little sweet right now.
I know.
You gave me a stale three Musketeer, which I appreciated. But I wish I had a big old fat bag of Elo Market gummy bears or something right now.
We do got to stock up on our snacks, and we've got to be better because that would help tremendously to lessen the blow of losing games. But you know what? All of these types of games, especially a boring game like today, really makes you a little bit sleepy. I hate to say it. You know, I love watching games. Sometimes I find myself saying, this game is over. I need to go to bed. I'm not going to stay up late and get a bad night's rest behind a loss. But I also don't want anybody getting a bad night's rest behind snoring either. There are things that can be controlled when it comes to sleeping, and snoring actually is one of them. At Sleep Healthy PA, they're committed to helping Philly residents stop the snore. Find solutions for sleep apnea. Find solutions that will help you sleep well and improve your health. It is actually, statistics show, important that you're getting a really good night's rest to make sure your body has time to regroup, refresh, and be ready to tackle the next day. If you're not sleeping through the night, if you're getting that restless sleep instead of restful sleep, and you're waking up feeling groggy and feel like you barely got any sleep day after day, that catches up to you. And so with Dr. Andrew Cohen's team, who's board certified in dental sleep medicine, him and his staff will work one-on-one with you to provide you with first-class care that will meet your needs. They also are going to make sure to take time to sit down with you, figure out an approach that works for you to make sure to work around sleep apnea, any clunky CPAP machines that are cumbersome, because 50% of divorces say it's because of snoring. It's loud. It disturbs everybody in the house, everybody on vacation, everybody in that Airbnb or that hotel, wherever you are. When you have that person snoring throughout the halls, it's echoing around. It's makes it rough to sleep. So for Dr. Andrew Cohen and his team, they want to make sure you take advantage of this deal. When you tell them that PHLY sent you, you're going to receive 15% off your initial work, which is a process that takes you through a 2-hour initial exam that's split into 2 sessions. You get some information gathering, some medical history, some imaging, and you get to review your results, and they give you some recommendations in that second part. So if you are experiencing any sleep apnea and you're looking for custom solutions to stop the snore, reach out to Dr. Andrew Cohen at sleephealthypa.com or call 215-337-2501 and let them know again that us at PHLY sent you. And also maybe let them know we're tired of the snooze fest of these losses. We want to get back to some exciting Phillies games, and maybe they can help, because right now it feels like the Phillies need something to wake them up. Maybe they're not getting a good night's rest. Maybe somebody's snoring too much in their household.
Yeah. I haven't been kicked out again.
Oh, I'm proud of you.
That was my allergy outbreak evening, so we're chalking it up to that. So I have not been kicked out. We've had a couple good nights sleep.
Conspiracy theory by Philly 007.
Ooh, what do we got?
Saying
I like
something happened during the All-Star break. You can't tell me otherwise. You think somebody got into like a fight, or somebody had like I don't know what, for as men in sports.
NCAA football dynasties are ruining their locker room.
You think they haven't been sleeping, and
they're playing NCAA football things. Yeah, this actually might make sense.
I think there's something going on in the locker room.
So when did NCAA football come out?
So it came out
Wednesday?
officially on Friday.
Athletes get advanced copies.
Yeah, I'm sure they bought
probably had it like
the $100 copy.
They've probably had it for 2 weeks.
So the All-Star break, yes.
They probably got it. Maybe they got it at the All-Star game. They were like, here, Bryce and Trey, here's 35 copies of NCAA football for the Phillies clubhouse. Take this back.
Okay.
They start playing on the team plane.
You know what it is?
Those 6 guys.
They're stealing recruits from each other. They're ready to fight over
I think they're fighting.
recruits.
And I don't think it's a fight of like a real fight. I mean, that could be a fight, but like.
Well, no, but they're all starting to talk shit on each other behind each other's backs.
People going to be like, this is the dumbest show ever. You guys don't even know what you're talking about.
I mean, you know.
No, in reality.
NCAA football beef in the locker room.
Okay, Bucket Getter 215 is saying it did come out on the day of the home run derby. And let's be honest, have we seen that excitement from the Phillies since the home run derby? Think about how happy they were, the water jug. And Alec Bohm was all smiles. They were laughing and joking. Even the All-Star game was still that, but that was still the next day. Since that All-Star game, excuse me, I'm burping. I don't know if people could hear it in the mic, so I just want to say.
I don't think so.
Okay. Fine.
You just told on yourself, but that's fine.
I should have just said dramatic pause. Have we seen those same vibes? Think about the Twin series. We are just actively noticing it. But you think about the Minnesota Twin series, the Pittsburgh Pirates series. Have we seen them good vibes? Even when they won
Paul
games.
Skeens walked by and was like, LSU would dominate all of you in NCAA football. And they're like, oh, Paul Skeens.
Something's going on with the Phillies, and we have to find out. We have to put on our,
I think we have the best working theory so far.
We gotta put on our Harriet the Spy, or what other spies were there like back in the day to figure this out.
The Hardy Boys.
They can be,
The Hardy Boys.
We can be the Scooby-Doo crew, like whatever it takes. We have to solve this mystery because for whatever reason, it feels like after the All-Star break, we haven't seen the same team yet. It's like they turned into a whole new group, and it's translating directly into their play. The maybe Philly double assignment. You got all the conspiracies. Does Garrett Stubbs need to get the vibes going? Do they got to bring out the fog machine and some music and let loose a little bit?
I wonder what team Austin Hayes would play with. If he's walking into this bloodbath that is an NCAA football-obsessed locker room.
Some non-conspiracy theory news for you guys if you're interested.
All right, fine.
Sir Anthony Dominguez made his Orioles debut today. He did.
Oh, wow. How'd he do?
Scoreless inning, 1 strikeout, 2 hits.
Oh, scoreless with them.
Scoreless, 2 hits?
2 hits. Apparently also may have thrown a pitch into the net, like the netting.
That sounds about right. Feel like he was always good for one of those like every 2 months. So, adrenaline's pumping and all that. Well, I'm glad we figured out the Phillies issue, though. I'm just trying to think
Carlos
Santana got to come in and flip a table and break the video game system? No more NCAA football in the Phillies locker room?
I think so.
All right,
what else could it be? Could it be that they accidentally eat the away cheesesteaks?
Mm-hmm. Maybe Jimmy and Ryan, I listened to their podcast. They said they would sneak some in.
Those cheesesteaks would definitely have you feeling very...
They said they were not allowed to have them. They would have to send like the clubby over or somebody to sneak them for them.
Something's changed. Something has changed. They have not been the same. Because even when they were losing games, it was hard fought. The energy was there. Like lately, this team has been very blase, going through the motions, defeated. And obviously part of that too is you did lose. You look at the last... what is it now? How many games that they've lost? It was 2 against the A's, 2 against the Pirates, 2 against the Twins, and then you lost 1 today. So you've lost 7 games in the last 10 games, which I could have just Googled to figure it out a lot quicker, but it was much more fun in my head. What's changed? Nobody had a bad breakup.
Since
we got JT back. It's
Whit
not like you lost
Merrifield.
somebody to an injury. Was Whit this big of a... Okay, you let go of Whit, Sir Anthony, and Christian. Were they that
what
big
was
of...
Whit? Vanderbilt? Maybe he was talking all this shit, like I'm going to start a dynasty in Vanderbilt, and I'm going to run this locker room. And then he left. See, it all goes back. It makes a lot of sense.
David Dahl? Like, who left the clubhouse that triggered this?
You know what? They haven't been the same since London. Like, the offense...
They really haven't been the same since London. That's a good
offense
point.
has not been the same since London. I'm not blaming London for that, but that seems to be the offensive... break point where things just haven't been right since. Some of that was injury related. JT was still down for a little bit. But yeah,
their pitching hasn't been the same since. That's when we started to see the awful starts by Ranger, then Aaron, then Zach, and everybody was kind of taking turns of just having some really bad outings. The London series was 2 days off before, 1 day off after. Then you went to Boston. Then you went down to Baltimore. It does feel like, it actually is the truth of their results, play overall has never recovered, has not recovered since then. But like, how do you get back to that then?
Yeah. I see Michael Barkan too. Rob Thompson is currently talking, so we'll be talking with John Foley in a little bit. Michael Barkan's tweeting. Looks like Rob was talking a little bit about Trey Turner, I think defensively. Michael Barkan, bad job by you framing who he's talking about. The tweet just says, I think he's going through a rough time right now, not fielding ground balls as much as throwing on the run. That's Trey, right?
That's 1,000% Trey. The issue is...
And he also said, just throw the ball accurately and cover our assignments and we'll be okay.
Okay. More
That's
thoughts.
Little League stuff.
More thoughts,
tonight
though.
was like Little League sloppy.
That was very
Tonight
bad.
was like... maybe the worst umpired first 3 innings of a baseball game I've ever seen in my life.
Cannot wait for this dude's umpire
I want to see the scorecard so bad. Kevin Long got
This, by the
tossed.
way, is the guy that had a 78% called strike one game. So he is kind of notorious for this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the reason they lost. And then on top of it, the sloppy fielding, which was just like really bad all around.
Is that, I hate to say this, Trey Turner, since his return, he came back mid-June.
10 home runs in the month of July.
He's
led
been
Major League
great
Baseball.
offensively. Yes.
Defensively,
he's been bad. And when you think about, and I'm not saying, please don't take this the wrong way, me saying like Trey Turner shouldn't be out there. But when you think about defensively, when Trey was out, Bryson Stott and Mundo Sosa at second base and shortstop was very clean, very minimal errors. We have been seeing the Phillies consistently, it feels like, making more and more errors. And tonight was like it all coming together.
What was the final count? Do you have the box score open, Tyler? It felt like 4 or 5 errors.
Yeah.
I don't know
the
what
errors have been. I would.
Well,
it's
I think
not going to be that
it's
high.
not going to be that high
No, because they
it's
don't-
not how
they don't
ended up being
track
2.
that properly. Yeah, we saw
But it
way more
felt
than 2
like
errors.
it felt like 17.
We definitely saw more than that. So I don't think Trey is Trey's not our concern bucket getter 215. Yes, they're saying he's the least of our concerns, but like defensively, those errors are something we're seeing more and more throughout the team. Like Bryce making those plays today, you don't see that often. Bryson even had some. Like it just is very lackluster, just off. And like you said, little league plays, but.
So speaking of Bryce, I was just curious about, because it feels like he's in a slump. All right, so I'll give you his numbers over the last 7, 14, and 28 days.
It is.
Over the last 17 days, he's hitting just 185 with an on base of 185, slugging 440. Over the last 14 days, he's hitting 235, on base 333, slugging 551. And over the last 28 days, hitting 214, 313 on base, 476 slugging. So Bryce, I would say, is in a little bit of a funk.
Yeah, he is.
Trey Turner kind of carried you. Nick Castellanos had a good month of July. Schwarber's in a little bit of slump. Like these, and the reason I bring this up is these guys are going to come back. Like, they're going to find the back of their baseball cards.
For sure.
So Trey kind of stayed stable. Castellanos kind of stepped up. But Harper, Schwarber, JT even is a little slow coming back offensively. Looked great on a throw out tonight down the third baseline. These guys are going to come back. So, like, this is a temporary hiccup because Bryce Harper is not going to stay cold forever.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to give a shout out to Ian, who's in the chat right now, who's saying long-time listener, first-time caller. Welcome in. Wish we had you here on a better Phillies post-game show. But when you look at these slumps, I think that's what it has to come down to. Who is most likely to be able to get out of that slump? Like, we don't know what got the Phillies to this right. We don't know what got the Phillies to this point, but who is most likely to be able to work themselves out of it? Jose Alvarado, Bryson Stott today offensively did feel, I mean, we did obviously see the great home run. We did obviously see the hits that he had and was the only one that was able to contribute. Okay, positive. Nick Castellanos has worked himself out for the most part of his slump that he had in the beginning of the season. Who else? Kyle Schwarber, another one. So it is really interesting that we are getting these slumps, but now it's going to be really even more important to see how do they work out of this? How soon can they work out of this? And when can they get back? Because if you get Bryce hitting again, for instance, on top of Trey's been doing well, if Bryson can continue what we saw tonight, now that can start to swing things back the other way and start to get the vibes high and get the team moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and Tyler just wrote up on our screen here. Rob Thompson did just confirm Austin Hayes will be starting tomorrow night versus the Guardians. And our old friend Carlos Carrasco. So not only do we see Ben Lively, but then we see Carlos Carrasco in back-to-back nights. Tyler Phillips going for the Phillies tomorrow on Austin Hayes night.
Yeah, you know, the Phillies stopper, Tyler Phillips.
Yeah, well, he kind of oddly has been a little bit lately. Last 2 starts.
Yeah.
And then the Sunday day game is Curry versus our sweet boy Ranger. And then the reeling Yankees are on deck after the Guardians series. But a little bit looking forward to Austin Hayes. It looks like, at least for the first couple weeks, that he's going to be your everyday left fielder. So his numbers versus righties this year, down a little bit, but he has hit them in the past. Numbers versus lefties, exceptional. You guys talked about him earlier on the emergency podcast. I think he's hitting like 333 versus lefties this year. So a real big upgrade there. Not many home runs, but Camden Yards is a difficult place. I think I saw over the last 3 years he'd have 11 or 12 more home runs in Citizens Bank just from a stadium change. So, a little bit of excitement, hopefully some new energy in that clubhouse tomorrow night, because we'll talk to John about it tonight. Weird vibes, bad energy from the team. And it translated to defensively just being inept, more or less. And it's kind of amazing they only allowed 3 runs considering how bad they were.
Yeah, I think we should be definitely fortunate that it was only a 3-1 game, because it was very ugly. Trey Turner, that was his 12th error on the season. As we know, unfortunately, they also do not track errors sometimes the correct way. We've had some errors that have been later ruled not an error and things like that. Just overall very sloppy play for the Phillies. It's unfortunate to see how this team is in their own way and dropping games, giving up runs. And you look at a day like today, to be honest, they could have played a half decent game defensively, and with how little the Guardians offense can score, still won the game. And that's something the Phillies were doing earlier in the season. That's a difference, that now they are losing those games. They're not getting the lucky bounce. They're not getting that lucky play. They're not squeezing out wins. Today is a day you could have actually came in and struggled, had a couple errors in the start of the game, go down, even when they were down 3-0. Bryson Stott gets that second deck home run, build off of that, still lots of baseball left to be played, and still won the game. Because you actually had for your team Orion and Jose, and they got out. They got in, they got out. Christopher Sanchez, we said, was solid today. Your pitchers, your bullpen, they did their job. If the offense could have given you something, you actually still could have won this game. And it was the same thing against the Twins. It was the same thing against the Pirates. They're not losing games outside of the A's whooping their butt. They're not losing games where
that was almost like a white flag series,
where the other team is just dominating. It's literally the Phillies giving away results. Here's some errors. Here our offense is struggling. You score 2 runs, 3 runs. That's enough to beat us.
Yeah.
So that's like the frustrating part too, because these are still winnable games that they're in. If they could just if you could string together a couple of strong innings at the end.
One in Minnesota, one in Pittsburgh, you gave them. Yeah, and those are series wins that, you really could have used. Shout out to Bailey Andrews in the chat. Somebody I go back and forth with on Twitter from time to time. So welcome in. Thanks for joining us, Bailey. And Philio 007, Ian, K-Red, everybody, what up? John Foley is going to be joining us from Citizens Bank Park shortly. But in the meantime, before John joins us, let me tell you about Shady Rays, because I would have loved to have gotten completely blacked out, like a special just blockout version where I didn't have to watch the game tonight.
Nice.
I'm sure Shady Rays would hook me up.
Could have got blackout too, and it would have been the same result.
Yeah. But yeah, Shady Rays, it's the best glasses in the game. And these people are nuts. Why? Because they're going to offer you lost or damaged sunglass protection. Basically, if you lose a pair or damage a pair, they got your back. It's the best customer service deal in the business. They're affordable, high-quality glasses. If you're an idiot like me, and for years and years, I would buy really expensive sunglasses and lose them in the ocean playing with my kids. And I just kind of went, why am I spending all this money just to lose or potentially break sunglasses? And then I switched to Shady Rays, and I haven't looked back since. They're absolutely awesome. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you can find the perfect pair to match your style. And they have a style in your team's favorite colors. And maybe your favorite team right now isn't the Phillies. Maybe you're looking ahead to Eagles season. But they got both for you. That's how good Shady Rays are. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Thousand.
That's a lot of people.
Thousand. And we've got thousands. We got lots of people here at PHLY that hang with us on our shows, reading our articles, checking in on our emergency podcast, having conversation with us on the Discord. As diehards, you get a chance to get great opportunities to be a part of our Discord channel. That's only for our diehard members, that now you can join all of our conversations all day, every day, 24/7. And then we also have opportunities to get discounts to our events as well as get some merch when you become a diehard member. So become a PHLY diehard member today. Get all the access and all the insight into the fun here. But even regardless of whether you're a diehard or not, we've got lots of great things on tap coming up for us here at PHLY, including this upcoming
That picture's
Tuesday
illegal.
MLB trade deadline show. Jamie loves this picture of himself, especially his chin. Well, you can hang with us July 30th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Billy Murphy's Irish Saloon. Shout out to Mike Murphy, who came, brought us some delicious food today.
Mike's the man.
We had some burgers, chicken sandwiches, some ribs, as well as some T-shirts he gave us that Jamie's wearing one right now. He'll probably be wearing it again in like 3 days.
Go Birds.
And so
I have a lot of T-shirts.
you probably will still be wearing it again in like 3 days.
I don't know. I'm a clean freak.
You guys, if it ends up at the top of your drawer, you'd be like, oh, it's the first thing at the top of my drawer that I saw. I put it on.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. And so you guys get to hang with us. So lots of fun in store as we continue to be able to hang out with our diehards and all the fun. So yeah.
Yes, I think I hear the noises.
The Foley call?
Yeah. I said, oh shit, it's John Foley's music. I hear Citizens Bank Park noise in the background. So I have a feeling John Foley will be joining us momentarily. Excited to hear what Rob had to say exactly about Austin Hayes.
I know.
That is a little bit of a pep in the step tomorrow. Something different.
Well, I like the fact that Dave Dombrowski was mentioning how they've liked Austin Hayes for years and have actually tried to acquire him the last two trade deadlines and have been asked for much more than they actually want to give. And he's a good hitter. They were saying so many positive things about how he hasn't played it. Although he hasn't played at all or much this season, how he's gotten squeezed out in playing time with the amount of young outfitters that they have. And so he's been on their radar, which in my opinion just even says a lot about who he is as a player, that he's been someone they've been watching closely and are excited to finally be able to land. So I'm excited to be able to hear from John when he's ready to have a chance to hear what's going on down there at Citizens Bank Park, because I know in the chat you got Regal Eagle saying, you know, the team is playing like garbage.
Yeah,
I know
are down. People are down.
Chips and Cellos was saying it's time for a team meeting. What's up, all you guys in the chat? VHS Queen is saying some things. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just chaos.
Yeah, I mean, people, look, the Phillies have been historically a terrible franchise, and there's been a lot of losing and a lot of heartbreak over the years, and there have been collapses in the past. I do not think we are on the verge of one of those at all. But let's bring in our own John Foley down from Citizens Bank Park. John, you're fresh off the Rob Thompson press conference. Before we get to the Austin Hayes stuff, that was an absolutely disgusting game. Did Rob Thompson convey or look like he just watched a disgusting baseball game all around?
He sure did, I think. You know, the move was somber. This is still a team with the best record in baseball, but obviously things are not going well right now. And you could see it. And Rob's not a guy that's going to throw his players under the bus, but I think it was clear that the effort tonight was disappointing, especially defensively early. The umpires did not help. He was asked about that and said, talks to his guys, just says, you can't worry about that. You need to keep playing. It was a tough one. It wasn't great. Lively.
So John, before Renee hops in about Hayes, I want to give him my theory.
Okay. I was like,
this is what we just cooked up, John. NCAA football came out on the home run derby. Is NCAA football breaking apart this locker room? Is there beef over recruiting and dynasties? Are they playing NCAA football, and is it ripping this Phillies team apart? Your thoughts?
Jamie, I think that's entirely possible.
Okay,
good. I have a 13-year-old kid, and he's been playing that nonstop for he hasn't slept.
It's all I
done
think
anything.
About.
He's just been playing for a week straight. So a lot of these younger guys, I would imagine, are up till 4 a.m, just like him.
Yeah.
And maybe that shows up on the field.
Okay, thought so. Nailed it. I was right, Renee.
Guys,
absolutely.
Jamie has absolutely been obsessed
it's
with
so
this
good.
game.
It's so
Every
good.
time I look, he's playing the game.
I come in early sometimes. I hope my
Just to
wife
play the
isn't
game.
watching. Just to sneak in a game on the Dynasty. It's so good.
He's literally obsessed. But it's fine. Everything's fine. There's a lot of people that are just like Jamie, sitting glued to their computers and their games. Excuse me. All right. So John, before I actually get into Austin Hayes, I know Rob doesn't say much, and he's not going to single out any players. Did he say any thoughts about like what's going to be able to be fixed, changed, done differently to help minimize these defensive errors, get the offense going? Was there any talk about kind of next steps? Because I think the frustrating part, I know a lot of people in our chat are saying this, is that it feels like these issues haven't been addressed. And here we are. It's been 4 straight series now as we're going into the Cleveland Guardians series of saying the same issues. Offense is struggling and not scoring. Defense is now having a lot of errors and uncharacteristic mistakes, excuse me. Anything from Rob regarding like moving forward plans, tweaks, whatever can be implemented?
No, I mean, that's just really not a style, right? Like he's going to protect his guys. He's going to say, but like behind closed doors with the players, I would imagine there are some discussions happening. But he's absolutely just, I mean, we all know his sort of attitude, and I think players like that. He always has his back, but it can be frustrating at these press conferences where you sort of want answers. What's going to happen? What's the spark? How do we turn this around? And there's really not much there. It's just, faith in the guys. It's a long season. You're going to hit rough patches, which, has a certain amount of merit to it. 162 games, we look at some of these other seasons where the Phillies won 100 plus games, and they have rough patches of their own. So it's not crazy that this would happen now. I do think it's an opportune moment. The Phillies are going to struggle. That would be right before the trade deadline and demonstrate, hey, maybe some more help is needed here, in addition to Hayes. But there weren't a lot of clear answers as to, and really, what can you say about some of these errors early on? He was asked about Turner in particular, and Turner's defense. He called it a rough patch. I don't know how accurate that is. We've got a pretty large sample size on Turner.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might just be he is what he is at this point.
It might just be he is what it is, and you got to take the bad with the good. And offensively, he outweighs his errors, but it's still frustrating. I mean, he can make some incredible plays, but it's sometimes some of the routine stuff is what gets to him, and it's frustrating.
Definitely.
Yeah, John, Bryson Stott, one of the positives tonight, kind of snaps out of it a little bit. Buggy whips one up into the second deck in right field, 3-hit night. Really encouraging to see out of Bryson Stott. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Bryson Stott getting going, it would be an absolute game changer for this team, right? I mean, he's been, sort of making his way along, in 240-ish. But yeah, 3 hits tonight, the home run. You got to think, if you want a silver lining out of today's game, Bryson Stott is it. That he looked a lot better tonight at the plate.
Now, you're down at Citizens Bank Park. You have the opportunity to see a lot more than we can as we're sitting here in the studio watching whenever the TV cameras give us access to. We picked up on it, seemed like the Phillies' body language was just very off today. Very, like, even when Bryson Stott hit that incredible home run, it's a 3-1 game, still a lot of baseball left to be played. And it never really felt like the Phillies mentally were there. Did you see any of that in person? Was it maybe just the TV cameras, the angling? What was the body language and the overall like morale like for you in person around the Phillies?
I don't think it was just the cameras. I think you could feel it here in the ballpark. It was the players, it was the fans. I know we did a lot of these post-game shows here from the ballpark early in the season, and we just talked about what a party it was, how immaculate the vibes were. I would say tonight was sort of the opposite. It started off really strange, right? You had the defensive miscues. You had some really terrible home plate umpiring.
Ask you about that.
And those aren't. You never want to blame the umpires. some early defensive miscues. You should be able to overcome that and score some runs. But it did just sort of give the feeling of this, wow, this maybe isn't their night, and the fans could pick up on it early, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great, but you know what? July 26th, let it happen now. Let's figure it out. Maybe get some help at the trade deadline, and let's not have a few nights like this in October, because that's when it'll really matter, and that's when it'll send you home.
So, John, what did Rob Thompson have to say? Austin Hayes starting tomorrow. Looks like, from what Dave Dombrowski said earlier to Rob's kind of comments earlier, that he's going to be the starting everyday left fielder for at least the first little bit. I think maybe give Marsh a chance to get healthy a little bit and see what those two give you as a platoon in center field. What did Rob have to say?
Yeah, so that's really interesting here with Hayes, because when he was first acquired, my immediate thought was, okay, you've now cobbled together a fantastic left fielder between Marsh with an 800 plus OPS against righties, and Hayes, really a fantastic hitter against lefties. This seems like the perfect fit. And then Rob's comments earlier today indicated that actually, well, we don't really see Hayes as a platoon player. We think he's going to be every day out there in left. But then also there was a follow-up question. I think Tim Kelly from Phillies Nation asked, well, so then if Hayes is playing every day in left, is it going to be a platoon between Marsh and Rojas in center? And Rob said, we don't know that yet. I have a lot of people to talk to about that. And I think if you add all that up, it doesn't quite make sense, right? Like, somebody's going to have to sit sometimes. So I think it's sort of to be determined where this is really going to shake out. I think it might just be based a little bit on the performance of the actual players on the field and what they do. I think it definitely sounds like they plan to maybe give Hayes extended run out in left field as an everyday player, and see what he has against both righties and lefties. He has very extreme splits in 2024. They're not quite as extreme over the course of his career, but he definitely hits lefties better. It's more like 790 OPS to 720 OPS his career splits, and his 2024 splits are just, if you looked at only his 2024 splits, you would only want him to be a platoon player. But Rob maybe sees something more there, or at least wants to give him a chance. Or like you said, Jamie, maybe it's a little bit of a half step here while Marsh gets healthier.
Yeah.
If he's dealing with some stuff. I did ask, so I asked Rob in today's press conference. It was interesting to me that Hayes wasn't even the first player off the bench.
Yeah, we talked about that during our 6 hours on air tonight. Wilson got the pinch at bat there.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I asked Rob about it. He said, just sort of based on his experience when he sees players switch a team and just come in that day, that it can be a tough job to go up there and pinch hit. So he just sort of wanted to give him a day to acclimate himself, and he'll be in the starting lineup tomorrow. And see how he goes from there. But yeah, that was surprising that you acquire the guy. A lot of these other players who've come from AAA and whatnot, Rob tosses them right in. It did seem like he wants Hayes to have sort of like a clean start, beginning of the game, sort of like a reliever with a fresh inning, right? Like he wants him to come in, beginning of the game, this is the day you're starting, and see how it goes from there. But it'll really be interesting to see how it shakes out, because you've got three guys there for two spots, and if you're not going to have a straight platoon with either of them, it gets kind of murky, unless there's another move that we're not aware of.
That is what's bizarre, because Chelsea Janes, who's a writer with a national baseball reporter with the Washington Post, actually was mentioning earlier the reason why the Phillies did not come, or speculation around the reason why the Phillies could not come to a deal for Lane Thomas, is because the Nationals were trying to move Lane Thomas on a deal to have him be an everyday player, not to be a platoon piece. And they were able to land Austin Hayes under a platoon piece expectation and deal, whereas the Nationals wanted more for Lane Thomas to be traded as an everyday piece. So if you're going to trade less for Austin Hayes as a platoon piece, but then make him an everyday piece, it's just like, this is bizarre what's really happening here. So I think time will tell, of course, of what really is to be done and the plan is for the outfield. But it does feel like essentially there's more in the works, not maybe just with the bullpen. Maybe there's some more we don't really know about. I know in the chat, Bailey Andrews is talking about needing another center fielder along with those 2 bullpen arms. I know others are mentioning some ideas that I've been seeing throughout this. Philly 007's got another conspiracy or crazy thought of, could they move Casty in a trade and talks for Luis Robert Jr.? It just leads to a whole lot of speculation if we know Austin Hayes might not be a platoon piece, but instead be an everyday left fielder. What does that mean for the team? So lots, John, going on. Anything else that you took away from all the different insight and being, my last thought is just kind of final pieces that maybe you heard that you want to share with us as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would want to add as we wrap up here is that it definitely seems like there are things in the works. As dissatisfied as fans are, I think you could sense the same thing from Rob Thompson in his press conference. I think, we're all watching the same thing here, and it's a problem. They're still the team with the best record in baseball. I think the Braves are falling behind the Mets tonight.
The Mets held on to win.
5 straight. The Mets
Yeah,
have won 5
Mets
straight.
are now in second place, John.
So they've built themselves a nice little lead that will let them figure these kinds of things out. It gives you, it doesn't make every night, it doesn't make every game sort of do or die. Like
It's fun.
It's not a lot of fun on nights like tonight, but they do have the luxury of being able to try and figure some things out, like play Hayes in left field for a while. Can he be an everyday guy? Do you want him to be an everyday guy? And you sort of see where you go from there. Now, the trade deadline the counterpoint to that is the trade deadline is approaching rapidly. So if you want to do some more, I know they will add at least 1 bullpen piece.
Definitely.
Possibly 2 now that Sir Anthony is gone. My guess had been a left-hander. Probably
I think they're going for Tanner Scott. I think they're going for a big splash.
Yeah, Tanner Scott was my guess for lefty, but once Sir Anthony's out, and now you start to think, well, maybe lefty and righty, maybe. And if you've gone sort of small on the outfield, maybe that means they're going to go big in the bullpen. So we'll see what happens there. Either with Scott. I don't know about Mason Miller and his broken non-throwing hand. But I wouldn't say it's out of the question because you did just ship out a right-handed reliever, and sort of the theory behind that was, well, for as much as he's done for this Phillies team right now and probably for the rest of the season, you're not really going to rely on him in high leverage situations, and he's probably not going to be helpful in the postseason, despite some past postseason success. So if Sir Anthony's gone now it sort of feels like you need a left-hander and a right-hander. So
I think they get 2.
I think they need 2.
I think saving the prospects, John. I think that was a big deal to get Hayes in here for not giving up prospects. So I think that allows you to go attack the bullpen through prospects, and I think they make 1 splash move, maybe 1 type of like low-level insurance type of move. But we'll see what happens. Were any names coming up tonight in the press box, or did anybody ask Rob about it? He's not really the guy to ask about trades, but did it come up at all?
Yeah, Thompson, not so much the guy who's going to talk trades, but I think fans are familiar with all the names that are out there, and I would be surprised actually at this point, going relatively small with a marginal move in the outfield and preserving all your prospects, sort of preserving all your ammo for a possible trade for 1 or 2 relievers. It would be really surprising if the team with the best record in baseball that's sort of struggling right now and has a couple really clear sort of flawed areas, it would be very surprising to me if they didn't do something significant. And it didn't, it hasn't materialized in the outfield with that first move. Nothing that they've done honestly precludes them from going after Luis Robert Jr. And nothing that they've done precludes them from going after Mason Miller or Tanner Scott. So reading between the lines, I would expect something bigger than what we've seen so far. And honestly, just the discussion about the outfield is just as presently constituted. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me if Hayes is going to play.
Right.
You have three players. You have Hayes and you have Rojas. You have Hayes, Rojas, and
Marsh.
and and Brandon Marsh. Or maybe they come out left field with something with Nick.
Yeah.
But you've got three guys for two spots. That indicates that there's going to be some sort of platoon. So it's interesting. I wouldn't take today.
Moved.
Or someone's getting moved, or they're not done yet.
Bum,
Like
bum,
things were
bum.
precursor to next move. So it's really intriguing what they're going to do here in these next few days leading up to our big live trade deadline show. I think.
Oh, John, Billy Murphy's Saloon came in tonight.
Yeah.
Woo!
Good stuff.
Jamie's
Food
falling.
was.
It's a
I'm rocking
food
one of their
coma.
awesome shirts. The
Yeah.
food was phenomenal. So we're really looking forward to Tuesday, 5 to 7 at Billy Murphy's Saloon out in East Falls. Should be a great one. I kind of am with you. I think two moves are coming. We'll see what happens, but the Phillies are definitely going to get better by Tuesday. John, hopefully they can take the series. Hopefully they can win Saturday and Sunday down there. It's not
Please.
impossible. It's been done before. We'll see if Tyler Phillips can be the Phillies stopper tomorrow versus old friend Carlos Carrasco.
Hey, he's been doing a pretty good job so far, Phillips. So let's see if he can keep that rolling. And it'd be great to pull out these next two and win a series because
Please.
it's been a few series.
It's been
series in rows now.
84 years.
It's been no, I fact checked that. 84 years it's been since they last won a series. So, and and after Cleveland is not getting any easier, you got the Yankees coming to town. Then you got a West Coast trip with the Dodgers.
Well, the
and
Yankees might be a
Oh,
slump buster
brother.
right now, so
Yeah, they
that could
are.
be cool.
Fair point.
Yeah, so
they've been going through their own troubles.
Yeah, everybody make sure you're checking out John's writing on allphly.com. Doing a great job. Follow him on Twitter at 2008 Phils with a Z. John, we appreciate the time. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we will talk to you very soon.
Take
Later,
care.
Jay
Thank you, guys.
Foles.
See ya. There he is, John Foley. Austin Hayes gets to start tomorrow night.
Jay Foles.
You're on a Foles basis now with him?
No, Jay Foles. It
Jay
can't be
Foles.
Foles.
Is that him or you? You, right?
Clearly him.
Yeah, you. Yes.
Okay, sorry to interrupt because I know you're trying to move us along here. And I want to wrap things up too. But Kevin at iRock really actually is a really great question.
Yeah.
Because now we know that Dave Dombrowski was trying to go after Austin Hayes last season. We've seen the numbers for Austin Hayes last season. He was phenomenal, had career highs and runs, hits, all these different stats was a career high for him last year in his All-Star 2023 season. Had the Phillies been able to actually land him at the trade deadline last season, would that have made a difference in the NLCS?
It's
Offense
an
was
impossible
an
question to
issue.
answer, but it couldn't have hurt.
Couldn't have hurt.
I mean, everybody disappeared in that game 6 and 7. So, yeah, couldn't have hurt, but impossible to answer. All right, big shout out to our friends at Miller Lite tonight. And, of course, Mike Murphy and the Murphy family from Billy Murphy's Saloon in East Falls. Thank you for the grub. Really looking forward to being out there on Tuesday. If anybody is able to join us on Tuesday in East Falls, we will be recapping the trade deadline, hopefully talking about Tanner Scott as a Philadelphia Philly. And hopefully it's the last time I ever have to see that god-awful picture
I don't even
again.
care about the ad anymore. I'm just going to keep showing this picture. Once
It is terrible.
I'm just going to pop it up in the middle
Yeah,
of
but you know what?
It'll be
It's gonna
December,
be-
the off season. I'm
It's
just going
going
to
to
show
be
the
used
picture.
again because we're in Philly's colors and gear. We've got Miller Lights there. We've got our PHLY branding.
Yeah,
This is
except it's terrible.
this is a perfect picture for promos. We're both looking and smiling.
Ugh.
It checks all the boxes. It's both of us, branding,
It
colors.
Doesn't check the box of the host that's in it actually liking it. Terrible with a double chin. But that doesn't change the fact that Billy Murphy Saloon is delicious and Miller Lights are delicious. Tonight's
and yes, it will
game
be
was
live
not-
on YouTube also. So if you can't
Yes,
hang with
we will be live on YouTube.
Single Chin and myself,
Yeah.
you can
That's
watch
such a bad picture. God.
Should we cry? You know what we should do? You should retake the picture and we edit you in.
Just
We can like
remember like when George Costanza replaced his photo in Mr. Kruger's office? Maybe we can just do that.
just drop your head in.
We'll just put like a generic, just like Lego type of face over me, just to block that out, so I never have to see it again. It is terrible.
I hope it gets used again.
I
It's
hope
so
I
funny.
never see that photo ever again. All right, that's gonna do it for us tonight. Phillies stunk tonight. Nothing more to talk about there. Bryson Stott, good to see you snap out of your
Yes,
funk a
welcome
little
back.
bit. Hopefully, this is sustained success here over the coming days. And Christopher Sanchez, I thought had a really nice game for the most part. You know,
did.
defense kind of failed him behind him, and
I mean, you can only do so much if you're not getting any run support.
yeah, no
So,
run support.
he did go 6 innings.
Oh, Tyler, that is terrible.
Oh man!
Terrible.
See, K-Rod likes it because he said it
It'd
captures
be
your
fine if it
personality.
wasn't for the double chin. I'm like hot dogging
I
myself.
had every intention of trying to figure out a way to slow roll it like up the screen, but it was just too large.
like
by
the
the
old
time-
Windows
Yeah,
screensavers.
by the time I blew the picture up just to get to you, it was just too large.
Yeah.
Frank wants to get some PHLY Phillies shirts with that picture on it.
Oh, yeah, no,
great
thank you.
idea.
No, thank you.
You know, we might have to run that up the chain.
Yeah, nope, I'm pretty
gonna
sure
talk to
my
my-
wife will
I'm
never
gonna
look
talk
at
to
me ever again.
We've got a guy here. We'll talk to the guy.
Yeah. All right, to everybody that tuned in tonight, whether pregame, watch along, postgame, we appreciate
Emergency
you.
pod.
Let's get a little thumbs up on the YouTube channel before you get out of here. Tell all your friends and family to subscribe here to PHLY.
I think give them that smile one more time.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
This has been fun. What a day.
Yes, but thank you to everybody that gave us some time tonight. We appreciate you. We will be back on Monday at 11 a.m. and then Tuesday, the trade deadline special from 5 to 7 p.m. So everybody have a great weekend. It's not all bad in Phillies land. They'll be back. I promise the team that we love will return. And when they do, we'll be here for you. So we'll see you then.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.